Hi and welcome to SQE Success, your pathway to becoming an English solicitor. In this video, we'll explore 3 scenarios involving judge warnings, a key topic in criminal litigation under FLK2. Let's dive in. In a trial where the defendant is accused of assaulting his ex-girlfriend, the prosecution's main witness is the defendant's former roommate. The defendant keeps saying that the roommate is lying. How is the trial judge most likely to handle the issue of the witness's credibility? A. The judge must issue a Turnbull warning to the jury. B. The judge must issue a corroboration warning to the jury. C. The judge may issue a corroboration warning to the jury. D. The judge must instruct the jury to assess the witness's evidence as they see fit. E. The judge may issue a Turnbull warning to the jury. The best answer is D. The judge must instruct the jury to assess the witness's evidence as they see fit. The judge has a mandatory obligation to give the jury proper directions on how to assess witness credibility. This is a fundamental part of the judge's role in ensuring a fair trial. For a standard credibility direction, the judge must instruct the jury to consider all the evidence before them, assess the reliability and credibility of each witness, take into account any factors that might affect reliability, decide what weight to give to each piece of evidence, use their common sense and experience. When applying the principles to the facts, it is a simple credibility dispute where defendant claims witness is lying. There are no special circumstances as there are no identification issues and no particular vulnerability factors. So the judge is only required to give standard credibility directions, not special warnings. Scenario 2. In a trial where the defendant is accused of assaulting his ex-girlfriend, the prosecution's main witness is the defendant's former roommate. The defendant argues that the roommate is giving false evidence to gain favor with the victim and points out that the witness has a history of jealousy and previous convictions for dishonesty. Given the witness's background, how is the trial judge most likely to handle the issue of the witness's credibility? A. The judge must issue a Turnbull warning to the jury. B. The judge must issue a corroboration warning to the jury. C. The judge may issue a corroboration warning to the jury. D. The judge must instruct the jury to assess the witness's evidence as they see fit. E. The judge must disclose the witness's dishonesty convictions to the jury so they can weigh the evidence properly. The best answer is C. The judge may issue a corroboration warning to the jury. A corroboration warning is a judicial discretion in criminal trials when a witness's credibility is significantly in doubt, for example, due to past dishonesty or an apparent motive to lie. The purpose is to caution the jury that it may be dangerous to rely on such testimony without supporting evidence. In this case, the witness has a history of dishonesty, which affects credibility. There is alleged motive, jealousy, or wanting to gain favor with the victim. Scenario 3. The defendant is on trial for robbery. The victim claims confidently to have recognized the defendant, who was his neighbor of 5 years, even though the lighting was poor on that dark night and the incident was brief. Which of the following is the judge most likely to do regarding the identification evidence? A. The judge may issue a Turnbull warning to the jury. B. The judge must issue a Turnbull warning to the jury. C. The judge must issue a corroboration warning to the jury. D. The judge may issue a corroboration warning to the jury. E. The judge must instruct the jury to assess the witness's evidence as they see fit. The best answer is B. The judge must issue a Turnbull warning to the jury. In cases involving visual identification, especially where the circumstances were difficult, for example, poor lighting, short duration, or stressful conditions, the judge is required to issue a Turnbull warning. A Turnbull warning reminds the jury that mistaken identification can still occur, even if the witness is competent. They must examine closely the circumstances in which the identification was made. They should consider whether any supporting evidence exists. Since the incident happened quickly and in poor light, even though the victim knew the defendant, the judge must issue a Turnbull warning to guard against the risk of mistaken identity. This table illustrates key principles we walked through. In criminal trials, the judge's guidance to the jury on witness credibility and identification evidence depends on the nature of the testimony. When the main witness is simply accused of lying by the defendant, without more, the judge does not need to issue any special warning. Credibility is always for the jury to decide. However, if the witness has a history of dishonesty or an apparent motive to lie, the judge may, at their discretion, give a corroboration warning to caution the jury about relying on such testimony without support. In contrast, when identification evidence is involved, particularly under poor conditions, a Turnbull warning is mandatory. This warning ensures the jury is aware of the real risk of mistaken identity, even when the witness is competent. Have you noticed how a slight change of fact can affect the legal outcome? That's exactly the skill the SQE tests, and mastering it is key to exam success. I published books filled with MCQs, each built with 3 variations of a legal scenario to sharpen your analysis and deepen your understanding. It is a must-read to pass SQE1. Turn your ambition into qualification. Begin your SQE journey to become an English solicitor.